You got to cheer the audience up for this because he's going to give him a big round of
applause. So that's Joe and Kate with Sexpression.
That's the way, Dave.
Good evening all. Yes, I'm Joe and this is Sexpression. I guess Sexpression is it's a segment where we talk about youth issues around sexuality. And tonight my guest is the Kate Munroe, Sydney DJ extraordinaire. Hello, Kate.
Hello, darling.
Not only is she a fine DJ, but she keeps goal in my soccer team, and she does a fine job there. Yeah, go Murdy St. Jones. Okay, tonight we're going to be talking about, I guess, the dance scene and sex and drugs. Yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah, okay. What I will say, though, is that Kate and I aren't drug and alcohol experts, but what we're going to do is have a look at this interview and this topic from, I guess, the point of view of a city DJ, which Kate is. So, let's get into it. Alrighty. So, you're a part of the dance scene, you're a DJ. Do people use drugs out there in the club, rave dancing?
Well, I think it's fairly obvious that it does happen, yeah. It's probably not as much information as we want out there, but yes, it definitely does happen, yeah.
Okay, and what kind of drugs do you reckon people are using?
Oh, wow. Probably all of them, probably ones that I've never even heard of before, I'd imagine. But, you know, Eckie, acid, speed, smoke, you know, alcohol probably being one of the biggest ones. As long as you have enough money in your pocket after you've got everything else, gotten into the club, etc. But just about anything, I think.
Yeah, okay. So I guess using drugs, people get themselves into all sorts of situations.
All kinds of muck.
What do you see? Like, is there anything you'd like to share with us about what you have seen?
Well, I've seen a lot, because I've done a lot of the really big parties in Sydney, as well as some of like the more underground raves. And for the most part, I think people are pretty intelligent. They try to be as intelligent as they can be, but this past, about 2 or 3 months ago, I had a little moment with a young girl in a toilet who was pretty out of it, and she seemed to have lost her skirt somewhere on the dance floor during the evening, and we were standing in the toilet, and no one was really paying her much mind, and she started to kind of go all a bit shaky in that, and
dressed but without a skirt.
Yeah, she just had these cute little pink underwear on and stuff, so I was a bit worried about it, because she looked like she was about the age of my little sister, and no one was paying any attention to her, and she kind of got really wavy in that, and went to go and fall into a toilet that looked pretty nasty, so I kind of grabbed her and said, you know, come on, knock somebody out of a toilet, and got her in there, and this other woman was a bit worried about her as well. So we got in there, and she was just absolutely splattered. She was completely off her face. She had no idea where she was. She was just laughing and then really going a bit, like, out there, and I was trying to get from her, look, you know, what have you had, what's up, and where's your pants? Basically.
Did she tell you where her skirt was?
She said that she was just so happy and she just wanted more of what she'd had, and she'd been on the middle of the dance floor with some guy, and she threw it into the air.
Wow.
So,
becoming naked on the dance floor.
Yeah, she's getting into that 60s hippie thing or something.
Okay, so I guess, like, did she know where she was? Like, was she okay, or was she in a pretty bad way?
Yeah, she was pretty in a bad way. She didn't really know where she was. She was kind of a bit confused, very disoriented, having a hard time kind of standing up and working herself out. And I was worried about her, because I've seen lots of people in lots of different states, pretty weird states, but she was pretty out there, and I was just worried about her safety. I was worried about I was really worried about where her dress was. Mostly, because being in that state, it was a bit scary. And trying to get information from her was really hard, because she didn't want to tell me what she'd been doing. And she was really scared, but she wanted to kind of go, yeah, I'm all right.
I'm okay.
And, oh, yeah, I want more, roar.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was scary.
Yeah, I guess with the nature of drug use, like illicit drugs, especially like things that are made up in backyard lab speed, MDA, ecstasy, acid, that kind of stuff, because some of the substances that they put into the drugs are illegal and hard to get hold of, they often substitute them with things that you're not really sure what kind of chemical makeup they are. And having a drug on different occasions may bring about a different effect. And I guess that would affect people's decision making in how, you know, they negotiate. Maybe if they do meet someone on the dance floor that they do like, how they do negotiate keeping their pants on, or even then going to have, if it does develop into sex stuff, than, you know, having safe sex. Do you think people's judgments are sort of changed by being out of it?
Oh, I think judgments are amazingly changed by, you know, drugs. I mean, I think that's why people take drugs, is to have their things changed. But, you know, it's important, I think, to just kind of try and keep some grasp on reality, or make sure you're with friends that can do that for you.
That's a really good point you've brought up there, Kate, because I think it's really important that if you go out with your mates and you do meet someone that you're getting along with, it's really important to sort of try and bring that person in to where you are with your mates, so that you're with people who you know and who can look after you. I guess that's really important, so that if you do get into trouble, that you've got someone that you can rely on. And it's really good when you're going out, and perhaps if you are using drugs, to make meeting points, because if you do get sort of pushed aside, or perhaps you go off with someone and you don't like have meeting spots, then you might lose them for the whole night. And I think that's when we talked earlier, you said that this young person didn't know where her friends were, or couldn't remember where the meeting spot was.
Yeah, well, she didn't have a meeting spot. She didn't know where anybody was, and she was sick, and yeah.
I guess it's that thing of, you know, being out of it doesn't automatically or necessarily mean that you're having a good time, because with as I said, with drugs you can get different effects. But I guess if you do choose to use drugs, and it is, you know, your choice, it's a risk-taking behaviour, and it's important that if you don't know much about the drugs that you are taking, there's a number that I have for you, so grab a pen. This is for the Alcohol and Drug Information Service. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And for Sydney people, you can ring 9361 2111. So that's 9361 2111. And for toll free, if you're living out of Sydney, give them a call on 1800 422 599, and you can ask them any information about what perhaps are the effects of, you know, dropping an E. And I guess also because of the nature of illicit drugs, and you don't know what you're getting, you know, don't just whack the whole lot in. Be sensible. Like, you know, some people say that a quarter of a trip can keep them going all night, but if you drop a whole, you could, you know, a whole trip, you could find yourself in trouble. So it's about being sensible, assessing your, I guess, the risks that you are taking when you're using drugs, and recognising that you don't really make informed decisions, or perhaps your senses are altered by using these types of drugs. Yes, always a good idea to be prepared. Stick some condoms and lube in your bag, or your pocket, or your wallet. You know, you might not be intending to go out there being sexual, but if you're not going to be sexual and you've got them and someone taps you on the shoulder, you know, what can you do? Pass them on?
Jump in.
Jump in. Okay. I guess I also wanted to draw attention to the fact that, you know, with this new legislation with the police, they can search you at any time with reasonable suspicion. Now, they can search you for drugs, and they don't have to actually state that they are searching you for drugs, but they can do that. They can walk up to you on the street and do that. And I guess this also falls into the, you know, searching you young people for knives, because the legislation has been passed that you're not to carry knives in public places. There's a few things that you guys out there should know. One, if a police person does approach you, then you can ask for their name and which station they're from, because that's really important that they identify who they are. Okay. Second, if they are going to be searching you for drugs, they don't have to say, but for knives, they have to state that they're searching you for knives. And it's really important to then follow up with reporting this incident, because, you know, this latest report said that out of 71 searches, they found 70 knives. But obviously they're not reporting the ones that they weren't successful in finding weapons on. So, you know, it's given young people a bad name, I think, Kate. What do you reckon?
Young people just don't deserve it.
Yes.
At all.
I don't think so either. Okay, so if you need some drug information, the Alcohol and Drug Information Service on the numbers that I gave you. And I guess, Kate, what would you like to finish up with saying around drug use and sexual behaviour? Is there any key messages that you'd like to pass on?
Well, it's really fun going out dancing and doing everything that you want to do, and I think the best thing you can do is just get informed, get your information, and stick with your mates and have a good time. But take care of yourself, and if you're going to get it on, put it on, I think.
Great message. I'm not going any further. Thank you and good night.